Oh no, it's crashing! It's crashing!
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Tuesday. Hope you're having an awesome week so far. We have a lot of stuff to go over today in the video. Timestamps will be below. It's probably going to end up being a little bit long, so if you guys want to skip around, you can. But let's dive in. Let's see what's going on. So Oh, look at that. We're up. It was just red. Now we're back up. Cool. So not by much. Bitcoin's up 0.25%. So having a look at the markets, I'll give this a quick refresh right now. So we're at $119 billion market cap. Bitcoin sitting around 3,588. XRP, 31 cents. Ethereum, $117. Now, if we look at the biggest gainers of the day, we have Loopring up an incredible almost 45%, followed by Factom, Chainlink, Mixin, Ardor, VeChain, Repo, OneChain, Zilliqa, and Steem, all seeing positive gains today. Now, one coin that's been in the news recently is Apollo, which you will see after it had its massive run-up has now recently taken almost a 40% dump. Now, we're going to get into this today. We're going to look at both sides objectively, and hopefully we can come to a solid conclusion. But before we do, I just wanted to say it's so crazy looking at these market caps and seeing where we've come. In fact, I put this out on Twitter actually just before I started the video, and I said these are the top 10 cryptos every year from 2014 to 2018 and 2019 so far. So it's really interesting to look at this. I mean, as you can see, Bitcoin obviously has remained number one. Ethereum and XRP have been duking it out. Litecoin lost its third place to XRP, then to Bitcoin Cash, then to Ethereum, and then to Ethereum again. So it's really, really interesting. And the question I wanted to know is, what do you guys think moving forward is going to be, you know, the top 10? What do you guys think? What coins do you think are going to be in the top 10? Is Bitcoin going to be able to maintain its number one spot? Yeah, I'm just curious. I thought it was really interesting. So that's over on Twitter, guys. If you're not following me, it's at the Crypto Zombie. And yeah, check it out, guys. So getting back to this chart, it's still doing the same thing. It's still going sideways. Not too much going on right now. Don't have much to say about that, but there was something that came out that said nearly 50% believe that manipulation is to blame for Bitcoin's price drops. I think we can all agree on this. I think we pretty much agreed on that 2 videos ago when we were looking at those BART patterns, right, guys? So, talking about what's going on, well, there was an interview recently. Now, this was on CNBC, and they did this with Charlie Shrem. Now, you may not be familiar with Charlie Shrem. He's a Bitcoin OG. Unfortunately, had to, serve some time in jail due to an early Bitcoin exchange that got linked to money laundering, yada, yada, yada. You could do your research on that. But they were asking him what he thought about the bear market and if this is the most serious bear market he's ever seen. And he said 100%. This is the most serious bear market by far because it's when people invested real money and we actually had a crazy price run up and a lot of people were saying that it would never end. So then they went on to ask, could we just hodl as with previous bear markets or is it different this time? And this is actually pretty cool. He said the question that people were asking in the previous bubble was, will Bitcoin exist a year from now? No one's asking that question now. Instead, it's how long will this bear market last? So I think it's different in that there is enough security in the crypto space for it to exist long term. And if you look at the price action now, you see that it's a lot more accumulation happening at a faster price and people are accumulating back in lower levels, which is, I mean, I wasn't around way back then, but I can imagine during those crazy crashes that people were like, oh my God, like Bitcoin is dead. Whereas now it's mostly just people like, yeah, Bitcoin's down, we're going to have to just be patient, right? And you see accumulating. So it's definitely got a different vibe to it. Then they asked him about a bunch of other projects like Ethereum, EOS, etc. He says he thinks a lot of projects are going to die. A lot of them are dying right now. Some will exist, some won't. Okay, so that's pretty much just a, toss it up in the air kind of answer, right? And then they say, what are you expecting in 2019? And he says that we're going to see a lot of phoenixes rising from the ashes. You'll see a lot of projects that were getting built in 2018 start to deliver in 2019. It's a lot of projects that we are not hearing about right now that have raised money that have been under the radar. In fact, I can name several startups right now that actually did have fundraising rounds that are literally just totally in stealth mode because they're horrified of coming out in this bear market right now. He says they've been building, they've been staying quiet and not wasting time, etc. So then they finally say, are you still all in crypto? He says, I'm still all in. This is my future. This is my legacy. I don't have an adult life without crypto. I got involved in this space when I was still in college, so I have nothing else. Now, talking about some other perspectives on the matter, you have Yahoo co-founder Jerry Yang says that blockchain technology could have a big impact on the future of finance. He says blockchain is a natural technology for banks and trading. If you look at US institutions and banks, the kind of infrastructure that's being developed has long-term implications. For the technology to succeed, the question is, can there be trust built? That can open huge amounts of doors. Also, back at the end of 2017, Yang told CNBC that he's a believer in the potential of Bitcoin and crypto and is looking to see whether Bitcoin will emerge as a currency used for transactions instead of solely just a store of value. Or I'm probably going to add on to this and say speculation, right? He says, personally, I'm a believer in how digital currency can play a role in our society, especially in not only the front end of doing transactions, but also the back end of creating a much more efficient system and much more verifiable system. But for now, it seems like it's more driven by the hype of investing and getting a return rather than it being used as a transaction currency. Also, we had Adena Friedman. Now, she's the president and CEO of NASDAQ Incorporated. She says that cryptocurrency deserves an opportunity to find a sustainable future in our economy. Friedman stated that NASDAQ believes crypto will have a role in the future, characterizing the invention itself as a tremendous demonstration of genius and creativity. Thus far, she argued crypto has evolved through what she terms a classic invention life cycle, from its early path forged by pioneers in cryptography and economics to a period of hype, the proliferation of new market entrants, and now most recently a dose of reality. Crypto thus stands at a crossroads, she says, poised between one of two possible outcomes. Either the innovation finds practical utility followed by years of steady and sustainable commercial progress and integration into the economic fabric, such as the internet, or the invention fails to achieve broad adoption and is commercially it just fails, which I don't think that's going to happen, okay? She also argued that for crypto to evolve into a practical, usable invention with stable value, it does require governance and regulatory clarity. So that's her particular stance on the matter. Also wanted to talk about this survey that came out from Deloitte. Now, we briefly touched upon it the other day, but if you want, you can actually download the whole thing. It's 48 pages. I'll drop it below in the description. This is it right here. I mean, look at all this. It's very, very lengthy, very involved, lots of different data. Yeah, you could definitely check that out. But to summarize some of the key points, basically, the survey revealed that 95% of over 1,000 savvy executives from a variety of industries and professions are investing in distributed ledger technology. So, according to the survey, 84% of respondents believe that blockchain tech is scalable and will eventually achieve mainstream adoption. 74% believe that blockchain tech presents a compelling business use case, and 68% believe that they will lose a competitive advantage if they don't adopt blockchain technology. Now, out of all the business executives surveyed, 59% believe that blockchain technology will disrupt their specific industry, with over 70% of the respondents saying that the automotive, oil, and gas and life science industries will be disrupted the most. That's interesting. So, all in all, the majority of companies surveyed appeared to welcome and even advocate for blockchain technology. Also, about half of them said that they're willing to join a blockchain consortium with their competitors, and some have already joined one. As for the most popular blockchain use case, survey respondents voted for supply chains, I'm not surprised, Internet of Things, and digital identity. I also think another good one is voting on the blockchain. You know, that's pretty transparent as well. So you could definitely see that that is a lot of positive news, guys. Like I said, I'm going to drop this below if you guys want to read the entire survey. There's a lot of information in here, so we'll definitely drop that below. Also, I don't know if anybody watching the channel was affected by the Cryptopia hack. I don't think that many people really were using the exchange, but if you were one of the individuals that were affected, they have this important notice that was released. It's got a whole bunch of transparency on the funds. It says what was stolen, what happened, and there's just really, I'm not going to go into it because it may not pertain to you, but if it does, I will drop this below. Check that out, okay? Now, on the same vein of all this craziness that's been going on lately. So yesterday, if you noticed in the video in the very beginning, I actually had said, I was talking about Haven Protocol and how it had lost a lot of value. And then in the video, I said I was going to talk about it later. Well, if you noticed, I never talked about it, okay? I actually ended up deleting that entire chunk because what had happened was that they were sort of resolving it in the background, and I didn't want to give you guys partial information or like half news. I wanted to bring the full story. So this is what happened. There were rumors that Haven Protocol, which is a Monero fork hybrid type of stablecoin, was abandoned and perhaps an exit scam, okay? So to summarize it, there's a lot of information. You guys can find this, but I'm just going to kind of really just give you the meat and potatoes, all right? So you had the admin Newscutter complain that the project founder, Haven Dev, had become unresponsive after requests to open the GitHub repository to which he alone has access. Newscutter also complained that the developer fee, a portion of the reward for mining blocks, should be transparent. He vowed to leave even if Haven Dev were to return. Another team member agreed with Newscutter, but expressed his hope that the project would be forked to live on, okay? So that's that. Now, in the face of all of this craziness that was coming out, Haven Dev finally reappeared at the 11th hour to pretty much assert that the topic is not in fact a scam. He vowed to open up the code to the community and said he'd been working on it during his time of absence, as you can see right here. He says it's horrible to see all the FUD happening in the Discord, and I want to clear this up as soon as possible. There is no exit scam. I am confident once things have been tied up internally, we can refocus and put Haven back on the correct track. So that was basically that right there, okay, guys? I just wanted to just clear that up, so that's done with, okay? Now, let's talk about the one that everyone is talking about, which is Apollo, okay? Now, if you own Apollo, if you're an Apollo fan, okay, before you freak out and start dropping the dislikes, I want to look at this objectively. The whole objective of this Crypto Zombie channel is to allow everyone watching to have the ability to make their own decisions. I don't want to sit here and tell you what coins to invest in, what coins not to invest in, but I want the community to work together to help each other out, to come to solutions based on situations, okay? So now that that's sort of cleared the air of how we're going to be approaching this, let's start with the Reddit article that pretty much sparked all of this, okay? So let's see right here. So this is the Apollo is a massive scam and you're making the founder, Steve McCullough, rich, okay? Let's dive in. So this is from Reddit user Razi Poffel, I guess is their name. So Apollo is an NXT fork that lowered the block time down to 2 seconds. They have several other insignificant changes to the code. I'm talking seriously insignificant, like it changes nearly nothing. And we will hail them as the greatest lines of code ever written, using big technical sounding words and mask what is essentially either already existing features of NXT with a different name, changing a few lines of code, okay? So this is this person's opinion, not my opinion, and we're gonna go through this. First, Apollo itself has been pumping parabolically recently, and the APL team is fueling this pump as hard as possible. They are actively telling people word for word to load their bags now. We're going to a $1 APL soon, above Ethereum and Ripple in market cap, because we make them obsolete and more. If you say anything, if you made money on APL, you should consider taking profits, or the price needs to correct. You will be immediately banned from their community, no questions asked. Saying anything, and I'm not kidding, anything about Apollo, even asking a question, mentioning NXT, saying the word fork, dump, sell, the list goes on, will get you immediately banned. They ban so often that I've made a list of comments that got people banned so far. Now, keep in mind, I have no way of verifying this. I've never been a part of this Telegram group, so I don't know what people are getting banned on. But this person claims that these are all comments that have gotten people banned. So the price is up 700% in a week. I think I might take some profits in case it drops. Apparently that got somebody banned. Isn't the privacy of this coin exactly the same as NXT? Can somebody explain? Why do you keep banning banning people for asking legitimate questions. How do you plan to implement sharding in Q1 when there is no code in the GitHub for it yet? You guys think the privacy of this coin is really better than Monero. And apparently all of those got users banned. Now, I don't know the context of it. I don't know if these people got banned. Maybe they were like annoying troublemakers, you know, or maybe they were just asking really honest, legit questions. That we do not know. If somebody has been banned from the Apollo community, maybe you can drop below the comment, below in the description and, write me something about what your experience was, okay? Then they talk about the founder, Steve McCullough, and he says that you can check these articles that go into talking about him being a scammer. Okay, so this came out, when did this come out? All right, it looks like 6 months ago. Yeah, back in July. Okay. So it says, I've discovered that the CEO of Apollo, Stephen McCullough, has been involved in several scams in the past, including a $29,000 Kickstarter scam where he claimed he was raising funds for a documentary expedition to Congo in the search of living dinosaurs. That's pretty crazy. He later disappeared with everyone's money and never completed the expedition. This can be verified by looking at the Kickstarter right here. On top of that, the guy went from supposedly being into biology, zoology, to suddenly being a crypto expert who's going to create code that changes the world. Okay, so you can read the rest of that if you guys, obviously all the information's in the Reddit post, so that'll be below as well. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, this guy says, I'm not even concerned if he was a scammer or not in the past. That's irrelevant. The concern is what he's doing right now. Besides clearly dumping coins, he's using Telegram, which through banning all opposition to the project is essentially just a massive brainwashed hive mind that will do whatever the founder says to pump the coin and swarm anyone who tries to pose any sort of legitimate argument against it, with tons of people who act like they would die for this project. This has happened at least 15 plus times since yesterday in the Telegram. And then he gives some, he gives some examples. So we have this right here. It says, please go tweet and blow it up and tag Ardar's page as well in it. Hey, Steve, speeding up the block, blah, 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 blah. He says, can you all go to tweet this and comment that it is a completely unprofessional attack and that they are just attacking now because we have passed NXT in market cap and because we are about to release our sharding feature, which will be a big threat to Ardor. Okay, so there's that, all right? Then it goes on to say, so this is bad, but then there's the fake news. The founder constantly publishes fake news to his massive army of shills to keep them buying and pumping the price of Apollo so he can dump on them. Here's an excellent example of this. Okay, so this says Apollo will be able to be purchased in 171,000 physical locations across 53 countries in 6 continents via a set of new partners. Anyone will be able to purchase Apollo with cash via a voucher system in these locations. Okay, so it says the Telegram is taking the news at face value, no questions asked, and talking about how Bitcoin is dead, Apollo's the new standard. They're eating news like this up as if it's 100% fact. If you ask any questions about that news, what are the actual locations, where's the news articles, etc., the community turns on you and will call you names until an admin bans you. If an admin is there, you'll just get banned instantly. Seen it happen 10 times already. The founder, when trying to defend this project, shills a few major points, and this is the end of the Reddit article, okay? It says, number 1, third generation cryptocurrency, to which they say, as if forking NXT in 2018 magically makes this project better than all others. 2, ultimate privacy. Guess what? It's not private at all. They use a coin scrambler in the wallet, something which exists for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many other altcoins, and claim that this makes their coin the greatest privacy coin of ever. Okay, so then number 3, well, I don't know. Coin mixers, I mean, if you use it, that's cool, for you to use it. Actively putting it into your project, I mean, I don't know. We can talk about that in a little bit. Decentralized file e-storage. We all know storing files on the actual blockchain itself is essentially impossible, especially with NXT's tech. Finally, their coin forging system, something already implemented by NXT. Okay, there is the argument. Now, I had to look over at the GitHub. Not that I'm like some crazy dev that knows what I'm looking for, but I did notice that it is relatively active. It's not incredibly active, but as you can see right here, the latest commit was 12 days ago. So, I mean, there is stuff happening. I will say that, okay? Now, looking into this article that came out from Journey to 100K, apparently Steve McCullough has come out and responded to all of these. Now, the article goes to point out that In the beginning, a lot of things were considered scams, right? Bitcoin was called a scam. Ethereum was originally called a scam. XRP is the banker's coin, and, Tron forged Ethereum's white paper, and the list goes on, right? You can just keep naming all different projects that were essentially scams that, actually turned out to really be doing some stuff, right? So let's take this with a grain of salt. Now, here's the responses to all of these. Number one, they have several other insignificant changes to the code. I'm talking seriously insignificant, like it changes nearly nothing. Okay, right? So responding to this, he says, this is the largest piece of misinformation in the article. Our devs have added and or modified over 100,000 lines of code just to safely build the infrastructure necessary to incorporate 2-second blocks. Took well over 2,000 new lines of code. Okay, here's the other one. They are actively telling people word for word to load their bags. We're going to $1 Apollo, etc., etc. He says, this is absolutely ridiculous. We have a lawyer which monitors all of our social media channels for these exact type of statements. We have a very large admin team, and every single one of them knows that if they even so much as insinuate a price increase in the future, or that we will be on the exchange in a certain amount of time, they will be fired. A team member has never, not once, made a statement like that. One is being claimed. Once again, guys, I have never been in this Telegram group. I don't actually know what goes down in it, so I would really like to hear if these statements are true or not. Okay, then you have another one that says if you say anything about, if you made money, you should take profits, or asking any questions, you get immediately banned. He says this also isn't true. From my understanding, this has never happened. We have a very large admin group, but our rules are very strict and exact parameters must be met before someone can be kicked, and these examples don't come close to those. Then moving on to the question, the founders have been verifiably dumping as much Apollo as they can during the pump. Well, he says that this was birthed out of gossip and evidence from an anonymous person which tried to blackmail the foundation to keep the evidence from being released. This could not be further from the truth. Currently, we have a circulating supply of over 15 billion with nearly 200 wallets created. A few months back, nearly every wallet in existence was funded by one of the two foundation wallets through our original coin distribution event and airdrops. We're talking about 170,000 wallets. There's absolutely no way that we can track every transaction from every wallet, and stating that because a wallet sold that was funded from one of the two original wallets means the foundation is dumping is unbelievably ridiculous. Every single APL that's in circulation originated from these wallets. He says the foundation has always been incredibly transparent when it comes to where it will use its Apollo and how. We have always said that these will be used to fund development and marketing of Apollo, okay? Then he goes on to talk more about the relationship between these addresses, which he pretty much sort of made that comparison to how they all started from those. Can you clarify the context around the alleged statement? There's more here. There's multiple claims that you're a scam artist. He says, nearly 7 years ago when I was in college, I joined an expedition to the Congo Basin, at that time one of the least explored and most dangerous locations on Earth. To raise additional funds, we started a Kickstarter. After that Kickstarter, we went forward with our expedition, acquiring the correct visas and gear. Not long after we landed, we were incredibly excited, but unfortunately did not foresee the incredible opposition we would face. We spent nearly 4 weeks tirelessly to get the proper paperwork needed. They were confronted by the government, military, etc. And then they say, regardless of the setback, in 2013, we returned to the Congo during a self-funded trip and made it to the exact area we had promised to go previously. We risked our lives, and he even said he has a few photos to prove it. So I guess here's a photo right here. And then another one was saying about him not having a degree, and he changed his LinkedIn profile, and he just goes on to say that that was an honest mistake. He wasn't sure how to use the buttons, and it's like how to set up like the info, whatever. And as soon as somebody pointed this out, he pretty much took it down. Now, I do want to point out one thing. Journey to 100K, okay? Having a look at this YouTube channel right here. This is the YouTube channel, Journey to 100K. This channel is very, very, very heavily biased towards Apollo. As you can see, virtually everything on this YouTube channel is all about Apollo, okay? So it does seem that this is coming from a place of very biased association with the crypto project, but this is basically what is going on. This is the situation. So, this is the article that came out, guys. The reason that I brought this up and the reason that I spent so much time today talking about this, I usually don't spend this much time really on any project, is because I really want to encourage you guys to be able to make your own decisions. What am I doing specifically related to this? Well, I've never purchased Apollo currency. I don't have any intentions on purchasing any Apollo. It's not because I have anything against the team or the people that, are involved in this. It's just right now, there's a lot of, turbulent waters around the project, etc. And to be completely honest with you, I really don't own a lot of cryptocurrencies, and also I've never owned a privacy coin to begin with. I don't have a personal need for it outside of speculation. So that being said, with these potential red flags, all of the stuff that's going on, I'm not really a huge fan of owning privacy coins. So because of that, I am not getting involved in this. I am not buying. And if this coin does happen to 100x, well then congratulations to everybody who owns it. I will be okay with the coins and the projects that I'm invested in. But I do want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you think that Apollo currency is a scam? Do you think it's just a misunderstanding? Do you not care? Ultimately, I just wanted you guys to really take away from this the ability to do self-research and make smart decisions for yourself. I mean, clearly, as you can see right here, if you had bought this pump when everybody was getting excited, say you bought $100, well, you would currently be down 40%. So you'd only have $600 left, okay? So that's the point I'm trying to tell you. Chasing these hype trains, just be careful with the stuff you guys, hear out there. And I hope that this clarifies the situation for you in an objective way. Yeah, so I basically, guys, I hope that clarifies it for you. Moving on, for fear of this video being an hour long, we need to talk about some other stuff, guys. Now, here's another situation where you had some crazy news come out, right? So there was a report by media outlet Axios claiming that an unknown startup named Valor Foundation is attempting to launch a hostile takeover of XRP. This would be the first hostile takeover attempt in the cryptocurrency space. The news outlet explained that Valor plans to raise tens of millions of dollars, which would be used to short XRP to push its price down. This fundraising venture would be conducted using a debt instrument, not a token sale. Then Valor would fork the XRP code to give each willingly XRP holder one Valor token. Finally, Valor would distribute further Valor tokens to its community and incentivize XRP holders to sell their coins. Finally, they would distribute further tokens to its community. Yeah, okay. And then, it says, with this scenario, sounds somewhat far-fetched. Axios reported that Valor's foundation and CEO Vishal Harplani confirmed the news outlet to his company that they are in fact working on a hostile takeover of a top 10 cryptocurrency. However, he declined to mention which one. So Brad Garlinghouse responded to this, and he said, he's Ripple's CEO. He fired back at Axios business editor Dan Primick on Twitter and shared his views on the quality of this, saying, Dan Primick wants to sell some snake oil. Any buyers out there want some? Media have a responsibility to help the industry understand what's hype versus substance, not to propagate blatant attempts at market manipulation. When will media coverage of this industry mature? And then you have Ripple CTO David Schwartz actually chiming in saying, well, this is amusing. A hostile takeover of XRP's ledger is not technically possible, nor does this plan make any economic sense whatsoever. So here's the last thing to take away from this. While an investor with deep pockets could arguably short XRP or any altcoin to drive its price down, it would make little economic sense to attempt to take over a competing cryptocurrency if the funds for such an attempt could instead be used to develop a superior cryptocurrency network. This would likely lead to a more favorable outcome that carries less risk than a hostile takeover attempt. So this is just another example of, fake news, FUD, people freaking out. Crypto moves at the speed of light, and unfortunately these stories circulate so fast. It's so difficult, sometimes you'll have multiple news outlets reporting something, and you're like, well, they're all saying it, so it must be true, right? Only to find out that, it came from, some source that didn't actually have the ability to back it up. So that's something to definitely point out. Talking about some other coin news, moving on. I know we got to get this going. I don't want this video to go on forever. So Tron has expanded its partners, right? Tron, another scam, right? That's actually out there. They're all scams when they start out, right? Tron expands its partner network, listing Oracle, Aurora, Steemit, and others. Not going to go into this article. You can read it. It's just mostly about partnerships. Also want to talk about Neo, which was another scam, by the way, when it first came out. I don't know if you guys remember the FUD around the white paper and how it didn't translate and all this other stuff. So it says Neo is actually expanding. A lot of people have been freaking out because, you know, Malcolm Larater, he left Neo. No one knows why he left, so they assume that this is the end. Honestly, from my opinion personally, I used to follow Neo very, 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 very closely back in the day. It was one of my favorite projects when I first got in, for sure. And I really was never personally that happy with his you know, he was the community, I forget his official title, but I was never really that impressed with Malcolm. In fact, he used to do a lot of weird marketing that, I remember one time they had this like really cryptic tweet that came out and said like, you're going to have 3 generations worth of wealth and something. So, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal in my opinion, but the point I wanted to make is that in the last 4 months alone, they've had a large number of new staff that they've added to their already expansive team. In fact, Neo Global Development actually had to relocate their office, as you can see right here, as the old one was too small to hold all of the new team members. And you can see right here, these are all the members that have been added. So, you know, there you go. More FUD, right? One guy leaves a team and suddenly it's dead. So just wanted to point that out as well. Now, let's talk about some really funny news. Let's talk about something that's not scam related today, guys. This is actually hilarious. So check this article out. They start off by saying, did you ever dream of waking up in the morning to unexpectedly find a vast amount of cash miraculously that had appeared in your account overnight? Well, this is exactly what has happened to users of a prominent South Korean crypto exchange. So CoinDesk Korea has reported that Korean crypto exchange CoinNest has accidentally airdropped over $5 million in Bitcoin and Korean won, and is looking to figure out how to reclaim the misdirected funds. So CoinNest announced that it has accidentally sent 6 billion Korean won worth of Bitcoin, which is roughly $5.3 million, to the accounts of traders. Now, what they were supposed to do was airdrop WeGame tokens, WGT, but somehow the wires got crossed or somebody screwed up, and they wrongly airdropped straight up Bitcoin in a catastrophic blunder, although I'm sure not to the people that got it. So amidst the madness, CoinNest also accidentally sent some Korean won to users, but have been trying to roll back their services to recover their losses. So, as expected, some account holders saw the crypto and withdraw it immediately. The exchange is now asking their customers to please return the misdirected funds, like as if they're really going to do that, right? CoinDesk Korea also noted that because so many CoinNest users were scrambling to withdraw their funds, surprising to their winnings, that it actually crashed the Bitcoin price on the site to almost $50. That is freaking crazy, guys. So the server issues were apparently fixed on January 19th, with approximately half of the Korean won already returned. Can you guys imagine just like going on Binance tomorrow and all of a sudden you just check your account and you're like, I have 5 Bitcoin in my account right now. That would be crazy. That is freaking insane, guys. So also talking about some good news before we get on out of here. I knew this was going to be a long episode, but I'll try to wrap it up. A Japanese yen-backed stablecoin has been approved for test usage and licensing by the Japanese Financial Service Agency in Japan's so-called sandbox legal regimen. The license will last for 1 year and has stated the objectives of testing and validating the secure transfer of crypto assets on a sidechain network and the possibility of building a stable and healthy OTC market by improving transparency for price-making process. Only crypto asset exchange only exchanges possessing a Japanese virtual currency exchange license will have access to the stablecoin project. So there you go, Japan stablecoins. Also, let's talk about really quick, Coinbase Exchange is launching cross-border wire transfers for international clients in Asia, the UK, and Europe. They said in an announcement that for clients in countries where fiat payment rails aren't yet available, the firm will now support inbound and outbound SWIFT transfers from non-US bank accounts. This is a new feature that will allow Coinbase customers in many countries throughout Asia and EMEA to access Coinbase's deep pool of crypto liquidity for the very first time. And here's an article that I was going to point out, guys. This actually was going to be my top story of the day, but then I thought to myself, first of all, we need to really address this thing going on with these other, projects and accusations, but also, Come on, another crazy Bitcoin prediction. So this was a $10 million, saying that we could see a Bitcoin price of $10 million, right? I could only imagine using that as my title, Bitcoin to 10 million, right? So anyway, basically, talking over what had happened here, against the bearish backdrop, asset management firm Lucid Investment Strategies is breaking away from the pack, and they are saying that Bitcoin price could one day reach $10 million, become the new gold standard, and solve the world's debt crisis. Now, as you can assume, what's more interesting is rather than reading the article itself, going down into the comments, you'll notice there were lots and lots and lots of negativity. People just saying, come on, man, Bitcoin's dead, blah, 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 right? Well, I want to focus on this before we go. I thought this was a really, really good answer. And Tony Dress says, since all the Bitcoin doubters don't understand what's going on, I'll tell you. In the year 2010, the price of a single Bitcoin was less than 1 cent, about 0.008 cents. Now it's worth around $3,500. How did that happen? Well, Bitcoin is built on a reducing supply algorithm, which cuts the amount of Bitcoin released in half about every 4 years. After one of these halvenings, the price of Bitcoin increases exponentially a few years later, then it crashes. And the last Bitcoin halvening was in 2016, and the last crash was in 2017. The next halvening is scheduled for 2020, 4 years later, which would mean that according to Bitcoin's price history, it will increase exponentially once again in 2021, like it has in the past. Now, we obviously know that past performance doesn't mean it's going to happen again, but that's why investors like Tim Draper and John McAfee are predicting Bitcoin's price to hit $250,000 in a few years and go far above, what we've seen. So there's a strong algorithm and historical data behind their claims. Every time Bitcoin has crashed, people say it is dead and will never come back again. Well, guess what? People said the same thing about the stock market when it crashed back in 2008. Well, it came back and it went up even higher than everyone, and it shocked everyone, as usual, right? So he says, stop playing dumb and open your eyes to what's happening. If you've invested in Bitcoin as of 2019, the only way you're going to win this game is with patience and understanding that these big crashes always rebound higher after a few years. Bitcoin has crashed 13 times and gone up way higher after each crash. Look at the charts and you'll see the only thing ignorance and hate will leave you with are empty pockets, my friends. And with that, I leave you guys with that note, because I think that that's pretty good to leave the video on. So, guys, I know it was a long video. Thank you so much for duking it out. I really thought it was important to not only address this. Like I said, I'm not saying Apollo is or is not a scam. I'm just showing you that there are two sides to the story, and I want us to be able to make educational decisions so that we can actually make some freaking damn money in this place and also build phenomenal tech that will eventually be life-changing. And that is the goal, my friends, okay? So with that being said, guys, I also want to just remind you, it does help the channel if you guys are looking to purchase a Ledger Nano S or Ledger Nano X pre-order. They still do have the Genesis block version available. I assume that they're going to be running this for quite some time now. So it's $119, and it's a great place to store all your crypto assets so you don't end up getting hacked like over on Cryptopia. If you guys want, you can use the link below. But other than that, you don't have to, guys. I really just appreciate you stopping by, saying what up, joining the Telegram group, really just saying hello. That's all that matters to me, guys. So thank you so much for coming back to yet another episode of Crypto Zombie. Hope you found some value in the video today. And that being said, I'm out of here, guys. So my name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.